Okay, lesson here, education, looking at the British education system between 1970 and approximately 2011. In the book we're on pages 59 to 61. His learning objectives, don't really plan to go through them. Keywords: inclusive means everyone can go there, it's an inclusive school. Abolish means get rid of. Academic, reading, writing, maths, English, science. Vocational, working. Disruption, mess about in class. Education action zone. Yeah, the rest of it I think you either know or we'll go through during the lesson. Okay, let's crack straight on, shall we? By the 1960s, the tripartite system was seen to have failed because people didn't really like the idea that if you failed 11 plus, you were consigned to a second-class education in secondary boarding school. It was thought to be unfair. It was unfair to the working class, basically. The Labour Party was in power and they made changes. And the big change was the comprehensive system. Schools became comprehensive schools. Comprehensive schools. In a comprehensive means it covers everything. So instead of two separate schools, grammar and secondary modern, there was one school and it covered everything. So in a comprehensive school, you did vocational stuff and academic stuff in years 7, 8, 9, and then you specialised, did your options at the end of year 9. This is the school system you're currently in, really. Now, this system got criticised, mostly by the middle class, basically because they didn't want their kids mixing with the likes of you. They liked the old system because their kids would go off to separate schools. In 1979, the Conservatives took over, they won the election. They hated the comprehensive system but could not go back to the tripartite because it was proven to be unfair and unworkable. They didn't like comprehensives, they couldn't go back to the tripartite, so they had to change things again. They worked on it for quite a long time, actually, from 1979, and in 1988 they finally made their big move. It's called the 1988 Education Reform Act. That's an important date, the 1988 Education Reform Act. It brought in the following things. The national curriculum, so all schools had to teach certain things. It brought in Ofsted to check on schools. It brought in SATs exams at Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3 to check how kids were doing. It brought in league tables, so schools had to publish their results in the local paper so parents could judge it, which led to choice. It was at this time where parents got the choice of where to send their kids. Until this, parents did not choose the schools. The council wrote you a letter telling you what school you were going to. Education Reform Act brought in parental choice. We'll do more work on all these things in class. In an exam, this is a typical question you might get. Describe one way in which governments have attempted to improve attendance in schools and explain how successful this approach has been. 5 marks, these 2 questions. And you might, if that came up, you might talk about this. They did this. Has it been successful? Well, maybe. Some results have gone up. Some people would disagree, etc., etc. Right? 1997, Labour won, and they were in power in 2010. They did not get rid of the 88 changes because they actually agreed with a lot of them. A lot of them not very controversial, are they? National curriculums and stuff. They made a few changes. They made some big changes, and they aim to help working class kids do better in this system. Yeah. So they brought in, first thing was the education action zones. They found areas where they thought people are struggling, where kids are doing worse in working class areas, and we'll give them some extra money. So New Addington was a education action zone, and you got extra money through it, yeah. They brought in the EMA, the Education Maintenance Allowance. It's not long been abolished. So if you went to college at 16, they gave you some money every week. so you were dirt poor. They brought in these special measures. If Ofsted came in and said the school was bad, it was in special measures, and they got a lot of extra help to improve that school. Yeah. They brought in an emphasis on skills. So to this point, started doing these sorts of things in school. Yeah. Vocational stuff. Things like business studies, GMVQs. It all came in at this point. And they brought in the academy system. They would turn certain schools that were struggling into academies, give them a big wodge of money, give them a lot of freedom from the government, and set on their way to try and improve themselves, improve the education for the kids at those schools. That was the part of the academy programme. Yeah. It was just for schools that were struggling at first. They also changed the rules of exclusions. So they made it much more difficult for schools to get rid of kids, to permanently exclude them. So they did quite a lot of fiddling around with the system.